Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Yathagnirdahika shakti Ramakrishne stita hiya Sarva vidya swarupam tam Sharadam pranamamyaham. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Namaste to you all. In the last class, what we just discussed, we will just have a recapitulation, bringing back to our mind what we have studied so that we can continue our classes today. We thought we are actually spiritual seekers, and then we want what we are seeking is timeless wisdom from the ancient times, how it is flowing down to our times, and it is going to continue forever. It's plan of nature that we saw, and we thought we will not discuss anything that is unwanted, though it is a fact of happening. Things like war, social abuses, hatred, dislike, and all these things, greed for power and all that. These were there at all times. But we need not worry about that, because negative thinking will let us down and down to the earth and below. So we want to climb up, not fall down. We will take the positive understanding of all things and start moving towards the divine. So while studying, we will give up all negative thoughts, and that which makes man a god on this earth, an angel on this earth, and moves about with great joy, that we shall contemplate upon. Then the ancient people, how they were backed by holding on to dependence and closeness to nature. They loved nature. They were one with nature at all times. Though divine awareness was not so strong in early days, it was not lacking because of the mutual love and being one with nature, and they got tremendous strength and capacity to bear all the odds of life. Suffering was no suffering, fatigue was no fatigue. All could take them in positive way. That we saw, fatigue was struggle for a higher evolution, and suffering was the test and training to forbear. All these we saw. Hunger also it was a sacrifice, and all that we saw. They're serving the sick and needy, their preservation of life in the nature, the acts of love and adoration of nature. This made them, their life meaningful and purposeful. All were living a purposeful life and meaningful life. And life became wider, deeper, bolder, beautiful, joyful. How the hard work they were putting on, the efforts to live, how it maintained their good health, excellent health, how this robust and with body and all they lived, which we are missing today. Anyway, we will see that how they lived, loving nature and main thing is they wanted variety, all varieties of beings, plants and trees and animals to coexist. Coexistence was most welcome. Feeding the birds and insects, all these things. There was never greed and excessive exploitation anywhere. So love combined with calmness of mind, balanced mind, calm mind, gave them a beautiful life, and they were able to live a perfect moral and ethical life. How the moral and ethical, just principles that they adopt, how they start loving nature, loving all beings, how they expand in their life, we can clearly see and understand. This aspect we have to note, and the element, the roots, selfishness and all this were removed from their heart. So we see the next phase, the inner peace, where they made them free from guilt, inner guilt. There was no guilt. Once you start loving people, even if your duty demands some harming also, like you are in military, you will not feel guilty because of the love that you possess in your heart. The peace, the guilt-free feelings, the freedom, inner freedom, all this that they experienced personally make them seek more and more. This seeking more is the opening of a new awareness of seeking divine, something I want eternal. I am getting all the peace, but where is eternity? It is passing, everything is going off. Now it is there, next moment it is not there. All whom I love are going away. Where is the eternal? I am comfortable, I am joyful, everything is all right, but we have to part, if not anything. Body is growing old. All this, they start seeking the eternal, and the search for the eternal and unchanging made them to search for the eternal. Means I am the efforts to transcend the nature. I am struggling to transcend the nature. And this search demands total dedication, all attention to be given, total commitment. From this generates dispassion towards the world. Dispassion, we must be very good. Dispassion toward only worldly things, not other things. The dispassion, when we say love, compassion, service attitude, all this towards family and society will remain as it is, unchanged. It will not change. Dispassion toward worldly enjoyments and worldly possessions, that will be dropped away. Something new opening and giving up small things that were holding me. Here again comes the next stage of awakening of the Viveka. All this we discussed in the last class. This awakening of the Viveka. Viveka, when it comes from moral and spiritual standards, we are living a meaningful life, purposeful life, and it is starts seeking more, it expands, dispassion comes into life, from dispassion, Viveka comes into life. With Viveka, what happens is real and unreal. From the right and wrong of the moral basis. In morality, what do we see is right and wrong, good and bad and all that. In Viveka, what is real, what is temporal, what is eternal, what is passing events. These, I want something real, I want something eternal, unchanging. So that seeking will start. And this insight discovers the transcendental realm. That is the struggle we saw in the last class, how the Satchidananda dawns, the spiritual world they enter and start experiencing. So this is the man who is emerged from the lowest standard of animalhood to the humanhood of moral perfection to the divinehood of realization. So formed the knowledge of God, and saints proclaim this, the moral and ethical basis is the strongest foundation that man has for spiritual world. Without that, there is no spiritual world. This much we studied in the last class. We have recaptured. I think I might have already sent the notes for you for the last class. If I am right, I don't remember. So now the next thing, before we enter into civilizations, ancient civilizations, we have to take up a little, just a glance, how we can change our life. All this is not for understanding and living at that stage. We want to transform. How that is the timeless wisdom is flowing it is nature's plan. So we are in between, somewhere in the flow. We have appeared in this world, we are going to disappear. Acquire that knowledge, transcend and go, or enter the again and again, moving the recycling process. So before I enter, the last thing I want to bring to your notice is there is a valuable observation by Professor Sorokin. Sorokin is a professor, social and cultural and all the civilizations, this, that, and all that he discusses. And he has written a book, Sane Sex Order. Sane Sex Order. And as a part of moral need in the individual and social life, in the society also at large, how it is needed. And he beautifully quotes, civilized societies which have limited sexual freedom have developed the highest culture. Again, I will tell, the civilized societies which have limited sexual freedom have developed highest culture. Further, there is no example of a community which has retained its high position on cultural scale after less rigorous sexual customs were replaced by more strictful ones. I will read the second line again. Further, there is no example of a community which has retained its high position. We climb to the high position. To retain it, we have to maintain that high position of culture scale after less rigorous sexual customs were replaced by restricting ones. So the Kamini Kanchana, what Sri Ramakrishna says is, we can clearly see how this doesn't limit to that sexuality alone. This principle that governs human destiny, this principle which governs the human destiny applies not only to sexuality, but human race, but every human value. We have so many human values, ahimsa, satya, all these to not only to sexuality, but to every human value that sanctifies human race. Our life is going to be sanctified by whatever we hold on to, the saints' words, the scriptural authority, what they say. For example, honesty, humility, truthfulness, non-injury, that is ahimsa. All this legitimacy that leads to avoid whatever ask. I must be legitimate to possess something. I must be legitimate to enjoy something. this legitimacy to avoid swindling, exploitation, corruption, deceit, adulteration, etc. All that which is self-destructive, it is going to destroy ourselves. We are going to, holding on to anything that is illegitimate is going to destroy us and is a bane to the society. It is going to be harmful to the society. So all this to be avoided, and all this, the restriction, there must be restricted life of moral and ethical. Only whatever you do in your life must be out of pure love. Love and love. Never seeking anything in return. No, nothing seeking. Out of love I serve. Out of love I keep my family. Out of love I dedicate myself to bring up my children. All these things only out of love, not because of my vasanas. I must have two things with me. Jnana, the viveka wisdom. Always carry the wisdom. And in your mind and intellect, be wise always. The second thing is be filled with love. So here we see the ancient culture keeps on endorsing the fact there can be no spirituality without a moral and ethical basis. Moral and ethical life alone can give you spirituality. There can never be peace without spirituality. There can never be peace without spirituality. And there can never be an unending, limitless bliss, ananda, without yourself being divine. You must become divine. The moment you become divine, you will have unending, eternal joy and peace within yourself. This is the whole gist of what Sorokin in his Zen books, it is generally, but all the things that I am telling is addition to his only one quotation. So, and you'll be getting all these notes before the next class sometime. And go through all that. Now we will be entering into ancient cultures, civilizations. Civilization, world civilization. Just take glance at the world civilization. We are all civilized in the cradles of civilization. How they emerged, how they formed. Because there is lot of misunderstanding about, because the science, two things that happens in field of research is, the Westerners trying to understand, most of the books on civilizations and culture, everything is written by the Westerners. And Westerners cannot understand the Eastern concepts and life and principles. I cannot go to China or Russia or Western society and know intimately how they live. Small threads of bindings I can never find. I am an outsider. And analysis will never give the right answer. So I must be an Indian to know how the Indian people grew to this present stage from ancient times. What is meant by ancient time? What is their idea of time? All these concepts has to come by birth as if, or leave everything and go live in that society, forgetting and deleting all that you know as a new child coming into that world. Drop away, because we move with our past tendencies, past understanding. Now, I was writing Spiritual Spring every day. One devotee, he wanted to translate it to Hindi and put in the ashrama. So I said, all right, very good. Each translation when I see, I write in my background. he translates in his background. He's a bachelor living for long, a spiritual life or something, religious life at least. But the understanding the same sentence is giving to him and to others is different from what I intend to give. So like that, what they think of the Indian culture or Indian spirituality, Indian religion is entirely different, and nowhere it has been depicted as it is. And I too shall never be able to write what the civilization of other places, like Chinese civilization, suppose, of Greece or Rome, I won't be able to write to the absolute truth. I am always backed by my understanding of the absolute and all things like that. I can interpret, but Indian, I can go to the roots and tell this is how the thing has come up to this. So this is one problem that we face while studying. And then any amount of search will never give the past for us. We may take fossils, we may take old skulls to try to put date, everything is a speculation. We never have a dated thing anywhere in the world. We speculate with the present standards. Now, a stone was put by, suppose, 2000 years back by some person, and it is there. It is certified that this is within the past history. And I test this, and present I test. I make a fresh stone cutting and see what is the difference, how the isotopes of elimination of isotopes are taking place. And from this standard, I cannot decide millions of years old stone. It is like telling every person grows 1 inch in a year. Suppose he is 100 years old. How many inches he will be? He will be 100 inches in 100 years. So that will not apply. This much of depletion of isotopes registers so many decades or centuries. Millions of years, what has happened, how the world has changed, we cannot know. So we must give all license to all these things and come up with the two things we see is culture and civilization. Two things, culture and civilization. In culture, how to be happy and how to live joyfully. Civilization, how I sustain myself within nature. The first one, that is nature, civilization leads us to science and technology and makes us extrovert. And how shall I be happy? How shall I be able to live harmoniously here with all this nature and all people around? How shall I be loved? How can I love and how can I be loved by all? All this, by play, art, governance, all this come under the culture, religion and spirituality mainly. That is the acme of culture. So culture is different from civilization. We mix up these two when we study the civilizations. Civilization, when we are studying civilization, though we use the term civilization independent of culture, most of the people do not know the culture and difference between culture and civilization. We interchange and use. And when we study the civilizations, we bring these two together and start discussing. Now, you say, now very often I remember looking at this world of the present days. Sometimes the old childhood days and boyhood days come victoriously in front of my eyes. How the people lived in joy and how we lived. Close to nature. Everywhere horses and cows and this, that, we amidst the animals and all that. We are living a beautiful, joyful life. And everything peaceful. Mind is calm. Each is loving other. Each is concerned about other. The vastness of heart we can see. All these aspects we could see in our childhood days. A calm society, pleasant days of life. Compared to now present, the fast running life, restless people running about here and there, lost peace forever. In their heart there is no peace. There is no love for others. There is no concern of others. Each one is weeping for his own family and his own conditions. Where is the sacrifice? Where is love? So, tremendous changes. Why I am telling these changes is the process of civilization. Actually, this is the heights of civilization we are reaching. Beginning from the industrial revolution, then the mechanization of the day-to-day implements we use in our life, grinding, this, that, and all these are mechanized. And then we see here in now the computer science has entered into all aspects of human life. Computerization is going on. And we can see the tremendous transformation within our lifetime. From our childhood days to today's days, there is civilization is on the ascent. It has come to the higher levels of existence. But cultural, there is decline. Everybody is weeping. Cultural fall and civilization uplift. That is what is happening. Now, when we study civilization as a joint picture of culture and civilization, when we study civilizations of the world, we bring them together and study as if they are one and the same with that meaning. I am differentiating because what is civilization or what is cultural development, we must know. It is evolution. Evolution itself, I am evolving. And human evolution term is different from civilization and culture. We are evolving. Each soul is evolving. Now, two aspects of our existence is there. One is our physical existence, bodily existence. Other is our spiritual existence. Two existences we have. So, in this, there is spiritual evolution also, and there is physical evolution also. Intellect is evolving. What is making that intellect evolve? My bodily existence, I want to set to my new circumstances and situations of life. So, bodily efforts, psychic efforts, intellectual efforts, heart, penetrating into the world, all these are evolving. Bodily evolution is there. Then there is spiritual evolution. Spiritual evolution is entirely different from bodily evolution. So, when we say Darwinism, Darwin is different from Darwinism. Darwinism is a theory gathered by Darwin from his ancient researchers and presented to the world. We mistake it for Darwin has put this into picture, but it is years of efforts of the earlier researchers that Darwin theory has come into picture, and it limits only to bodily existence. And it is how much of reality is there, we will see later on sometime, because it is the Chaitanya which is behind. It is making me, I am conscious. This consciousness is making me adjust to the circumstances, situations of life. I am conscious. I want eternal freedom. So my spiritual, it is seeking the spiritual evolution also. Bodily adjustment evolution to suit the nature. The spiritual evolution to transcend and go. When we come to civilization of the world civilizations, how to analyze, how to bring evolution into the civilization theory. So I think we'll stop here today and discuss in the next class a month later.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Namo Namo. Abba.
Actually, we don't have any question.
Ba.
So, since Maharaj, we would like to open the forum for everyone so that people can have a little bit of time with you, and we'll call their name by alphabetical order. So, Maharaj.
Some question is there? Huh? No. Sthita Prajnas.
So, to everyone, for this wonderful uplifting satsang, our next satsang will be continued on the same topic and will be held in a month. We will communicate the exact date soon in the WhatsApp group. Pranam Maharaj.
Namo Namo. Niranjanam nityamanantarupam bhaktanukampa dritavigraham vai Ishavataram parameshamidhyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namamaha.